Boy, oh boy, is this election season heating up. Well, Hillary Clinton focusing on the economy. So guess what? Hillary now wants to talk about her solar dreams, which of course means crony capitalism run amok. Get this, the Democratic frontrunner promising 500 million solar panels will be installed in her first 4 years in office. In a political ad released over the weekend, Hillary plans to battle climate change if elected.
I'm just a grandmother with 2 eyes and a brain. It's hard to believe there are people running for president who still refuse to accept the settled science of climate change, who would rather remind us they're not scientists than listen to those who are.
Let's bring in Jillian Melchior from National Review and Veronique Rugy with the Mercatus Center at George Mason University. Jillian, you write about this stuff all the time. You know, it's so crazy. I mean, yeah, she's a grandmother, but the idea that every time there's a drought, every time there's it snows, every time there's anything, it's climate change, and somehow they've got to take taxpayer money and put up a bunch of solar panels.
You're absolutely right. I think this is something that's become a dogma, a settled belief that you cannot question, and that's never a good sign for science. If we're talking about the subsidies for solar, though, fiscal year 2013, we saw $5.3 billion federal dollars going to this. There was another study looking at it, $39 billion over the past 5 years.
$39 billion, and by the way, these places, they don't generate many jobs. You know, there's a little construction, and after that, I've seen jobs like 5 permanent jobs. After hundreds of millions of dollars, 5 permanent jobs, and they still have to force utilities to buy this stuff from them. It's still not cheaper than the free market.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We're not even taking into consideration with those statistics, state-level subsidies, renewable energy credits, all of the things that beef this up. Yet, despite this enormous federal and state largesse, you know, renewable energy combined accounts for 10% of electricity generation. Hillary Clinton wants to have this go up to full electrical generation for all households. That should give you a sense of how expensive this is going to be.
Veronique, listen, the science is subtle. Listen, you're someone who does exhaustive studies, and anytime someone tells me the science is settled, I think they think I'm an idiot right then and there.
Well, I mean, when are they going to come up with new ideas? Like, seriously, I mean, like, for instance, the 1705 loan program that you mentioned gave us Solyndra, right? That was another great idea that was going to kind of expand our use and the supply of solar panel. What did we see happening? I mean, it's just a lot of cheap loans going to a lot of companies who were already doing the job. And for what? I mean, and as Jillian said, I mean, it's very unlikely that it's going to change very much the demand unless she wants to give them for free, and then it's definitely going to increase our deficit.
Or these utilities are forced to take them and pass the costs on to users. Of course, the solar panel graveyard is wrecked with the bones of taxpayer money on these cylinders of the world. Now, there was another major surprise in the last 24 hours. Just yesterday, the majority leader, Mitch McConnell, kept the Export-Import Bank alive. Now, many people are wondering why the nation's largest companies in the first place need to get taxpayer money to compete. I think it's corporate welfare, and I think it's corporate welfare that's completely nuts. Veronique, no one's been on top of this issue more than you. First of all, I was shocked that a Republican kept this in play. Secondly, why?
I mean, I wasn't shocked, sadly. And secondly, it's not really clear that it's going to work for XM, at least this time around. I mean, we know it's going to be revived at some point. They're going to manage to shove it onto a must-pass bill. If it's not this time around, it's going to be on the CR at the end of September. And why? I think it's because, unfortunately, there's still, I mean, a fair number of Republicans who are for cronyism, because that's what it is. It is cronyism, and XM is a poster child. And unfortunately, there's also too many Republicans in leadership and too many Republicans who are willing to push crony bills with the help of the Democrats.
You know, Jillian, you know, they say every time they promote it, they say it helps small businesses, it helps minorities, it helps women. In the last several years, I think 2% went to minorities, 1% went to women-owned businesses. Boeing gets most of this money. Caterpillar gets most of this money. They don't need our help.
Yeah,
they don't need our tax money.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think this is crony capitalism at its finest. And then if you look at the other small businesses that it's guaranteeing, why are taxpayers being put on the line for something something that banks won't invest in. You know, I think this is a bad deal for taxpayers. Congressional Budget Office has found that they skew their numbers. Government Accountability Office has found that they skew their numbers. This is a ripoff, and this is the opportunity to shut it down.
I've got to ask you, Veronique, to that point, though, you're saying that eventually, because of the leadership on both sides of the aisle, how embedded they are with big business and cronyism, that the Ex-Im Bank will somehow find a way to live.
Well, I mean, we know that Speaker Boehner is supportive of the Export-Import Bank. Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, it's less clear. He claims that he is against Ex-Im, but then he has goals like pushing the highway bill that seems to be much, much more important than actually keeping Ex-Im dead. So we'll see what's going to happen. But yeah, I just fear that and it would be so simple. All they have to do is do nothing, not let it come up for a vote. And a majority of the Republican caucus is against Ex-Im. This is a thing to remember. So if this thing is revived, it means that at some point leadership would have gone against its caucus. That's all it means.
Wow, it's absolutely amazing. And of course, this harks back to, it's an FDR program, right? 1934, another one of these things where government gets to pick winners and losers, and it's certainly outdated. Then your work has been probably, without a doubt, the best on it. So keep us abreast, Veronique. We really want to see what happens on this. I was absolutely shocked to see it in the headlines on a Sunday of all days. Thanks a lot.